In the final years of Queen Elizabeth I's reign, England faced a crisis. The dissolution of the monasteries had dismantled the old system of charity, and the countryside was overwhelmed with the poor, the unemployed, and the desperate. In response, the government enacted a piece of legislation that would shape the future of social welfare for centuries: the Poor Law of 1601. This landmark law established a new principle. Poverty was no longer just a matter for the church or private charity, but a responsibility of the state, administered at the most local level, the parish. Each parish was now legally obligated to care for its own poor. The law famously divided the poor into three distinct categories. First, the impotent poor, those who could not work, such as the elderly, the blind, and the sick. They were to be cared for in their own homes or in parish-funded almshouses. Second were the able-bodied poor, those who were willing to work but could not find employment. The parish was required to provide them with raw materials, like wool or hemp, to work on in their homes, or to find them work in a parish house of work. Finally, there were the idle poor or sturdy beggars, those who could work but wouldn't. They were seen not as unfortunate, but as a threat. These individuals were to be punished, whipped, and forced into houses of correction to perform hard labor. To fund this system, the law introduced the poor rate, a local property tax collected by 4 overseers of the poor appointed in each parish. These overseers held immense power, deciding who received aid, how much they got, and in what form. For over 200 years, the Poor Law of 1601 was the bedrock of England's approach to poverty. It was a system born of both compassion and control, a complex framework that provided basic relief while enforcing a strict social and moral order. Its legacy was profound, creating a blueprint for state responsibility that would influence welfare systems around the world long after its eventual replacement in 1834. The year is 1834. The Poor Law of 1601, once a pillar of English society, is now seen by the government as a failure. Its costs were spiraling, and a powerful new class of thinkers, led by the zealous reformer Edwin Chadwick, argued that the old system encouraged idleness and drained the nation's wealth. The time had come for a radical, more scientific solution. This was the birth of the Poor Law Amendment Act, a piece of legislation that would become one of the most hated in British history. The new law was built on 2 ruthless principles. The first was less eligibility. This meant that the condition of any person receiving aid from the state must be less eligible, or worse than that of the lowest paid independent laborer. The goal was to make poverty relief so unattractive that only the truly desperate would seek it. The second principle was the Workhouse test. Outdoor relief, giving the poor aid in their own homes, was abolished for the able-bodied. If you needed help, you had no choice but to enter the workhouse. This, the government believed, would effectively test who was genuinely destitute and who was simply lazy. Across the country, parishes were grouped into unions, and each was ordered to build a central workhouse. These were not shelters, they were prisons for the poor. Families were torn apart upon entry. Men were sent to one wing, women to another, and children to a third, often never to see each other again. Life inside was deliberately harsh. The food was monotonous and meager, often consisting of little more than bread and gruel. Labor was hard and pointless, like breaking stones or picking oakum, unraveling tarred rope fibers. Silence was enforced, and the days were ruled by the ringing of bells and the watchful eye of the workhouse master. The workhouses quickly became known by the public as Bastille. The backlash was immediate and fierce. The poor, who had once seen the parish as a source of support, now viewed it with terror. There were riots, and workhouses were attacked. The cruelty of the system was exposed in national scandals, like the one in Andover, where starving inmates were caught chewing on the rotten bones they were supposed to be crushing. The new Poor Law was designed to solve the problem of poverty by making it unbearable. Instead, it created a new kind of misery, leaving a dark stain on the Victorian era. It institutionalized a culture of fear and shame around poverty, an attitude that would cast a long, cold shadow over the generations to come, forever changing the relationship between the state and its most vulnerable citizens.